Greetings everybody, I'm going to talk to you today about lightsaber construction for dummies. This is the perfect video for me to discuss because I just built my first lightsaber here recently, and I am pretty sure that I qualify as a dummy. And I found out the hard way how to build this, and I want to help a lot of you who are just getting started in lightsaber construction to avoid some of the mistakes that I made. And I want to help you out by explaining some of the terminology and that kind of stuff. So my goal for this video, very quickly, is to share with you the basics about lightsaber construction, where to get what you need, and to then explain some of the terminology. So I've got my notes over here to the right. You're going to see me glancing. I guess that would be your left, but I'll be glancing over here looking at my stuff to make sure that I'm staying on track. But this is the first lightsaber that I built. You can see the handle here has a nice little belt clip, and the blade, you'll notice, is white. I will explain that in a minute. I'm going to ignite it here. You can see it's green, and I'll show it with the lights off lit here in just a minute. But anyway, let's get started with the concept of building a lightsaber. Essentially, this thing is just a really fancy flashlight. So if you keep that in mind, the concept is actually very simple. This one doesn't have sound, it doesn't have vibrating and all that kind of stuff. It's just simple on and off. This is a basic lightsaber that's great for a first-time project. So it's just a fancy flashlight, but instead of having a little light bulb in the end like most flashlights, it has just a really super bright LED. LED flashlights are very common now. I'm going to shine it in the camera. You don't want to shine one of these real ones in your eyes because you can see that's really bright, and that LED actually can hurt your eye when you're looking at it. It's real bright. So this is just one tiny little super bright 3-watt LED from a place called Luxion, and that's the concept. Now let me tell you about some websites that you're going to want to visit if you're going to get into lightsaber construction. First one, I didn't find this right off the bat. In fact, I am amazed that when I was Googling lightsaber construction, build your own lightsabers, this one didn't come up, and if it did come up, I just missed it somehow. But the first place you're going to want to go is to thecustomsabershop.com. It's right there on the screen, www.thecustomsabershop.com. Best resource out there for anybody getting started. They even have some tutorials on there, and great kits, all kinds of stuff to be able to buy everything that you need there to build your lightsaber. Another website that you'll want to visit is ultrasabers.com. Now, they specialize in creating lightsabers and selling them, but they also do sell some parts on there and have fairly decent prices on blades and that kind of thing. And then a fun website. The website is http://no www. But just leave off the www. It's bigyellowbox.tripod.com. No idea what that website even stands for, but on that website are all kinds of cool instructions for how to build a lightsaber hilt. Now, theirs are not necessarily designed to have electronics stuck on the inside and all that kind of stuff. Some of theirs are solid. They make them out of a wooden handle and that sort of thing. But a lot of cool concepts, a lot of cool ideas. I got my idea for what my lightsaber would look like from there. And they even have shopping lists. Here are all the components that you need to buy and where you can pick them up and relative prices, all that kind of stuff. Great resource. So I highly suggest it. And then there's on YouTube, a billion videos. If you go to YouTube and you just type in sink tube sabers, holy smokes, or sink tube lightsabers, you're going to get all kinds of stuff. I'll talk about what sink tubes are here in a minute. But a great resource on YouTube is a guy named Nova Star, Novastar. In his channel, there's over 100 videos, and tons of them are about lightsaber construction. He has a great one about basic sink tube saber construction that I suggest everybody go watch. So anyway, those are some of the websites. Now let's talk about the handle, the basics to the handle construction. This is a sink tube saber. A sink tube is exactly what it sounds like. It's one of those tubes that comes down off the bottom of your sink in the bathroom or the kitchen or wherever the water drains through. And so it's just a chrome pipe. This one is a 1.5 inch sink tube with you see the smaller segment in here and a smaller piece right here. The outside is 1.5 inch sink tube. The inside is a 1.25 inch sink tube. And you can pick those up at any hardware store, at Home Depot, anywhere that you want. Then you'll see this rubber grip that I have here. That is a rubber like carpet-like runner that I picked up at the hardware store. You know, you can buy this kind of rubber rug, if you will, that you can put on the inside of your house if it's raining or snowing or whatever outside, keep people from slipping, or maybe you'll roll it out over a particular piece of the floor that you don't want high traffic to stamp down the carpet or ruin it or wear it out or whatever. So that's just a rubber runner that you can get at the hardware store. I just bought 6 inches. They sell it by the foot. The guy thought I was crazy when I asked him to sell me 6 inches of it because it's about 2 feet wide, and so just 6 inches of it gave me plenty of this material to use. And you see it's kind of ribbed, and you can get it different styles, that sort of thing. I've seen other people use mouse pads and just flip them around backwards and use the black side of a mouse pad here, and that's a pretty good idea too. But I used that to put on the outside of the 1.25 inch tube to thicken it up so that it would fit snugly inside the 1.5 inch tube. And so you can see what that looks like. This cap here on the end is just the cap that screws on the end of a sink tube, and the sink tube has a threaded end, all that kind of stuff. So that just screws right on here, and it has a hole, and so I padded that or closed the hole with this rubber stuff. I just flipped it backwards so you don't see the ribbed side on the outside. You see that the flat side on the outside, and that's how I closed the cap. I can't open it for you because actually I have it screwed shut right here with a little set screw that holds the belt clip on, but when I need to replace the batteries, I simply remove that screw and this comes off, and you can pull the components out and change the batteries. You'll notice little black dots on it. These are little tiny set screws. This is just a little washer that works with the pipes and looked kind of cool there. And I got 2 different kinds of set screws. Some of them are raised. You'll see a little bump right here. And then others sink flush in there. You'll see that little black dot is one that sinks flush. And you can buy those set screws at hardware stores. You could just use regular metal screws if you wanted, if you didn't care if it was a metal screw. I wanted mine to look more high-tech, so these are hex screws instead of a Phillips head screw, but you can use whatever you want. This is also a similar screw that I'm using here, just a big huge one to hold the blade in place. And then you might wonder what these 2 little black things are right here. Nothing fancy, they're just 2 little black pieces of plastic that I thought looked cool from an old toy or something, and I just used some JB Weld and glued them on there. And so that's the basic construction of the handle. I used the set screws and the sink tubes and the plastic floor or rubber floor runner. I used a mirror hanger here. That's what this is for the belt. You can use other fancier things than this, but this is just real simple. There's a hook on my son's belt. I made this for my 9-year-old's birthday, by the way. So this is a gift to my son that he just loves. And this hangs on his belt and looks really cool. And then there's the switch. I'll talk more about the switch in a minute, but I got that at Radio Shack. When I talk about electronics, I'll cover the switch some more. But one of the more important parts of any lightsaber is the blade mount, because you have to be able to stick a blade in here and it has to be able to stick. This screw tightens down and holds the blade in place, but the 1.25 inch tube is slightly larger than a 1 inch outside diameter blade, and so it didn't fit in there, so I had to get a 1 inch inner diameter. That's important. 1 inch inside diameter PVC pipe, and you see the white pipe in here. And I had to sand that thoroughly to make it fit inside here because it was too big to fit inside the 1.25 inch sink tube. But after a lot of sanding with an electric sander, I was able to stick that down in there, and it's about this long piece of a PVC pipe, and that cost me about 63 cents for the PVC pipe, as opposed to on Custom Saber Shop, you can get some great pieces that are already custom machine made. I mean, they're really nice, and they're made to fit on a sink tube that hold the blade. Those are really cool, but they're a lot more expensive than 63 cents, so I decided to go the cheap route. And so there it is. That's the custom lightsaber hilt. My 3-year-old Hayden has decided to join us. Say hi. All right, go ahead, baby. I used a Dremel tool to cut out my design. You could cut your design however you want and make it look however you want. Just get creative on that. That's the basics of the handle construction.